Guys, here are my all-time Zwift racing hacks. Now the first one I'm pretty sure I'm going to get in trouble for, and I know a few guys will probably end up shouting at me on the internet. But I've been racing on Zwift for a couple of months, or more than a couple of months, and the person that told me this was someone that I went for coffee with last week, and we've been racing for months. So my all-time Zwift hack is securing a front place on a start line. So we all know when you go Zwift racing that start lines can be seriously hot and heavy, and sometimes out the gate it's just hardcore watts. If you are at the front of the race, it's so much easier to kind of push off the line and then let yourself come back through the group. If you are at the back of a group, especially with these 100+ person races, if you are at the back, then you've got to really work just to stay on the group off the start line. If you're at the front, you can kind of kick off the line, let yourself come back through the group, and then just hold on as you move off, and hopefully the race starts to calm down. And I know that we're all thinking it, that's what I'm hoping everyone is thinking when we go off the line, someone please slow this damn thing down. Okay, so how do you do it? This is a cheeky one. All you have to do is register for the race that you want to join. And you are allowed to enter that start pen 29 minutes before the race starts. You have two options on your mobile app, not Zwift Companion app. On the mobile Zwift app, you can dive in, enter the race, and join the pen 29 minutes before the race starts. And here you go, here's an example of me doing it. And also, you can see other people doing it where they come into the pen and then they disappear. So you can enter the race, join the pen, get on the start line, exit the race, and then go and do your warm-up. You can also just do this on your laptop or your computer or whatever you use to Zwift. You can just enter the pen 29 minutes before the race starts, leave the pen 10 seconds later, go and do your warm-up, come back into the pen 5-10 minutes before the race, spin a little bit, and you're on the front row of the start line. Guys, please don't kill me for telling people this, because it's the one thing I wish people had told me before I started racing, was that if you're just clever about it, a little bit organized, you can get yourself a primo position on a start line. Zwift hack number 1, sold. I'm pretty sure one day they might actually change that, but for now you can still do it. My second all-time Zwift hack has to do with trainer difficulty. It's not so much a hack, but more of a way to make acclimatizing to a new group or a new category a little bit easier. One of the things that makes it harder when you are joining a new cat is the inclines and declines and having to flick through gears. And that's something that I definitely found when I got bumped up to Cat B. So sometimes when the gradient changes, it's just that little bit harder to flick through gears, kind of find your wattage, and you can find that you just fall off the back of the group, especially when you're having to start chasing the back wheel of the front group. Little changes can make a big difference. Flicking through gears, you can kind of lose a bit of your rhythm, and it's just not quite so easy. So if you are new to a category or you get bumped up a category and you want to make life a little bit easier, just readjust your trainer difficulty. But obviously, if you want the full experience, don't forget to reset it once you start to getting to grips with that particular cat, and your power or your racing skills just improve a little bit. So my last hack isn't so much of a hack, but it is something to be aware of, because this happens a lot on a lot of different courses. Now, Zwift has released the Zwift Play, which is the controllers which actually helps people to position better. I don't have them, but I definitely find that nowadays I am finding it that when I'm leaving my positioning up to Zwift, I kind of feel like I'm being nudged out of the middle, because the people with the Zwift Plays are just better at getting the draft positions, or they're slightly better at being positioned in the middle of the pack. Not entirely much you can do about that if you don't have Zwift Play, but what you can do is make sure that when corners come, there are a few examples where if you are on the right side of the group, you can kick a few extra watts, and it's a small amount. You don't have to push too hard, and you will get whipped around a corner a little bit quicker, and it pushes you through to the front of the group, or certainly helps you move through the group. So be aware of that. Find out the little corners where these things happen. A lot of them are not quite so much full U-turns. I know that some of those are speed limited, but there are definitely a few occasions on certain points where if you're on the right positioning on a corner, you can just spin up a tiny bit. It's a really small, think of it as getting kind of a lot of juice for a very small squeeze. Put it that way. Whereas if you were on a straight and you're at the back, you kind of get stuck behind people's sticky draft. Whereas on a corner, a few extra kicks, it kind of pushes you through to the front of the group, which then becomes useful because one of my biggest tactics is getting a good position just off the front row of a group and just letting myself kind of come back through the group so I don't have to try and hold as high a wattage as some of the guys that are working at the front. Saves me some watts. So there you go, guys, my absolute top 3 Zwift hacks when it comes to racing. The first one, guys, I'm expecting a few people to shout at me for, because honestly, I don't know how I can be racing someone and they just not tell me that that's what they've been doing for the last 3 months. But now that I'm on the inside, I thought I'd let more people know. So don't shout at me. I think everyone should know and be aware that you can kind of book yourself into a primo position on a start line. The others, trainer difficulty, is actually something that I think, if I'm honest with you, that you're going to want to readjust back up to 50-60% once you've got to grips with things. And then corners is just something that is a bit of the kind of Zwift craft of racing in Watopia. You will find the ones, or you'll start to understand the ones where you can kind of kick a few extra watts into them and you kind of get your positioning kind of whipped around for you rather than having to put in extra watts. But it does make a difference. So there you go, guys. Let me know how you get on with them. Please don't shout at me, and I will see you guys on a start line soon.